Hey everyone, welcome to another Modern Deck Tech. Today, Izzet Dragons. When Smoldering Egg was revealed or spoiled, I got thinking, well, let's play with dragons. I like dragons a lot. Let's build a dragons deck in Modern. It's not the first time, won't be the last, but I wanted to really integrate it into a deck and see how it actually played. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities to Thing in the Ice. Well, some similarities. Thing in the Ice in many ways is better, but we'll get to that. So I want to present you the list. I'll be putting up 4 matches up today as usual, so stay tuned for those as well if you want to see gameplay with this deck. Before we get to the list though, if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. The like button as well. All those clicks really go a long way in helping others find my content, helping the channel grow, and I would really appreciate your support. So, the list. Alright, so this is what I ended up with. I went through a lot of iterations trying to make this work. I was playing a lot more dragons at some point. In different numbers, and this is what I eventually got down to. It essentially plays as like an Izzet control list for all intents and purposes, but I'm shoving Smoldering Egg in there, and I'm also playing Glorybringer, and yes, I know, purists, Crackling Drake isn't technically a dragon, but if you showed me just an artwork, a piece of art of it, with nothing else around it, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's like a dragon. That's just me, sorry, we could get into that argument in the comment section down below. But Crackling Drake is a dragon for all intents and purposes in this deck. Now, how does it play? Well, it does play like your typical Izzet control list, kind of. I managed to put in 2 Stubborn Denial in here, which played really well. I don't think you want to necessarily play more. You could, though, but you already have access to Counterspell, Archmage's Charm, you have Force of Negation on the side, so you don't necessarily go any heavier on Permission. You have some decent removal. Now, I've tried out 2 cards here that were new. To Magic. There's Smoldering Egg and Memory Deluge. So let's start with Smoldering Egg. I really enjoyed playing with it. It's no Thing in the Ice, that's for sure. Thing in the Ice, no, you could play the normal way and just cast spells and get counters off, or you could cheat it in, and have it become its flip side really quickly without having to cast all those spells. If you play Thing in the Ice, you know what I'm talking about. So Smoldering Egg, you can't do that. It's very clear. How you can make it flip, but I found that when it did finally flip, I lost very few games. If your opponents let you get to the point where Smoldering Egg is slipping into his dragon form, it's almost certainly game over. Every instant and sorcery spell you cast at that point is shocking your opponent or a creature, and it just really goes downhill from there. I had a very similar effect to what Huntmaster of the Fells does for me. If Huntmaster of the Fells survives and starts flipping, your opponent's almost certainly going to lose, and Smoldering Egg gave me that feeling. Memory Deluge as well was actually very satisfying to play, even if you didn't flash it back, just for its 4 CMC, scrying through those 4 cards and putting 2 into your hand, that just felt fantastic. And if you managed to flash it back as well, that was just magical candy land, and you were living the dream. All of those, those 2 cards really went a long way. I was impressed by how they played. Of course, you're playing Memory Deluge and Prismari Command, Archmage's Charm, as many expensive spells, in quotes, that you can play to make Smoldering Egg, flip as quickly as possible. I found what you see here on this list worked out well. I mean, this deck has to be winnable, or else I wouldn't be deck teching it. It has to be viable in the current meta, so I had to I couldn't just play any card I wanted. I had to play cards that actually made sense, and this finally did it for me. So let's quickly get to the synergies. Obviously, the creatures are going to do it here because we're not playing any crazy, wacky permission or removal spells. The removal and permission is pretty much standard, so it's really the creatures that we're going to be focusing on here. Smoldering Egg. Alright, well, when it flips to Ashmouth Dragon, it's a 4/4 flyer that's decent. And whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to any target. That's nice. It could be a creature, planeswalker, or a player. And that's like I said, once it does flip, very hard to lose. Again, in my personal experience, I think I've only lost maybe a handful of games, and I've won the majority when Ashmouth becomes a thing. And your opponents, you can tell just in the way they slow play after it's flipped, that they know it's over. Now, what do I think about Smoldering Egg as a whole in Modern? Well, the thing is, you do really have to play slightly more expensive cards to make it flip, and it's like I said, you can't cheat it into flipping. At least I haven't figured out a proper way to cheat it into flipping. The wording is very specific. I think Wizards did that on purpose. You need to be casting instant and sorcery spells. You need to be paying for those spells. They can't be free. Force of Negation, if you're playing the alternate cards of Force of Negation, it will not remove, or it will not add counters to Smoldering Egg, sorry. So there's no way you could like cast a free expensive spell and have it flip. It's just, you got to pay full price. But the thing is, when you do, again, in my experience, when you put in that effort, the payoff is quite worth it. Now, are people going to be playing this over a Thing in the Ice? Definitely not. Should they be? I don't know. Again, if you really like dragons and you're biased like me, you're going to say, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I think it's going to be coming down to personal taste. I found it to be just good enough to have fun with this deck. Bring it to a local FNM or even just a local tournament. I think you're going to do fine, put in your iterations with it, and everything's going to be A-okay. Crackling Drake as well really outperformed for me. What's nice about Crackling Drake is when your opponents bring in any sort of graveyard hate, it doesn't really matter. Crackling Drake counts everything in your graveyard and in exile, so you know it'll always just be large. It'll be a 4/4, 5/5, a 6/6. I think the largest I saw was that I had was like an 8/4. 8/4. I was saying 4/4, 6/6, like 6/4, 8/4, whatever it is. And that's just brutal. And you draw a card when it comes into the battlefield, so it's good, you know, on curve. It's good mid to late game as well. It doesn't have haste, but if it did, honestly, I think it would be kind of broken. So I think it's well powered, well balanced. And I just had a lot of fun with it. 2 big dragons here. Glorybringer is not on the screen. You're playing 2 of Glorybringer. It's just, again, one of those cards where it's 5 mana, flying haste, and it's just slapping your opponent the minute it comes into play. It acts as pseudo removal for creatures as well, because you can exert it. And yeah, just the dragon package here, although small, unfortunately, there aren't that many playable dragons in Modern, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly. The dragon package did its job in closing out games while you played the control strategy early on. Ideally, you smack Smoldering Egg turn 2, and then you just control the game from there, hoping that it flips, and then it's GG. So that was really my experience with Izzet Dragons. Now the matchups. Again, I played a lot of games with this, or a lot of matches with this deck, and this is what my feel is for the current meta. When you're playing against combo, you're definitely favored. You have a lot of permission in the main, you have extra permission in the side, and you could pretty much cover most combo decks pretty well, and you'll be seeing one combo matchup coming up in a match today, so you'll kind of see what's going on there. So combo's pretty good. Mid-range decks, I think you're relatively even. There's some good and there's some bad. You know, Smoldering Egg, like I said, you have to invest into it, and mid-range just has a lot of efficient removal that's going to be hitting your Smoldering Egg, so it kind of counteracts its power there. So I think overall the matchup is even. You still have a lot of, you know, tools at your disposal. Even aggro, surprisingly, I thought aggro was going to be like the worst matchup because you don't really go that wide, and aggro does, and your removal is kind of limited in the list that I have. But no, I mean, a 0/4 actually goes a really long way in keeping smaller creatures at bay. I mean, worst case, you're going to block a creature and then they're going to, you know, bolt Smoldering Egg or something. But you survived a turn and you made them waste burn on a creature, not on you. So actually, my experience ended up being that aggro was pretty even. So that worked out pretty well. Control decks, even again, you're already playing the control game now. More, more permission-heavy control decks might have a leg up, but again, it's going to be the back and forth game. It's going to be like your typical control mirror, and you have nicer, bigger creatures to finish out the game than most control decks do. So that's always a nice bonus. Tron, I mean, you're playing Blood Moon in the main. That really goes a long way, and your sideboard can make it a lot worse for Tron. Control usually has a leg up against Tron anyway, so I had zero issues playing against Tron decks. And other decks in the meta, borderline Magic decks, you're relatively even. It's going to be 50-50 most of the time. And that's it for the matchups. Like I said, stay tuned for the 4 matches going up today. We're going to be able to actually see gameplay with Izzet Dragons. I really love this deck. It was really fun. It was nice to play with dragons only. I really like theming decks around that and trying to make them work. I believe I did with this list, but I would love to hear from you down below what you thought about the list, what you would have added, removed. Yeah, I love going back and forth with you guys in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, please subscribe and hit that notification bell down below. Those few clicks go a really long way in helping others find my content and helps my channel grow. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook, share my content on social media. That also helps others find their way to my videos and spreads the word even further. And of course, if you like making money, check out my Patreon page. The link is in the description of this video. In particular, check out the Patreon rewards program. Basically works like this. You give me your Patreon dollars every month. I buy and open up sealed product on this channel using those dollars. And I send you back that money at the end of every year in the form of rares and mythics. You get one non-bulk rare or mythic for every consecutive month you've been a patron, and every card is worth anywhere between $3 and $15. But I mean, even if you lowball it at an average of $5 per card, you're at the very least getting your money back, but odds are you're getting even more. There are a lot more details on my Patreon page, so check it out. Thanks, and have a good one.